Hello friends. As part of the logging, API logging, today I'd like to discuss about the concept called HTTP logging policy. What is the requirement of this policy and how to apply this policy? So, in previous sessions, we saw how to log the log statement using the logger components inside your Mule application, right? And you got a requirement that you don't want to configure any kind of logger component inside your application. You want to externalize the logging from your application to a policy. Okay, so you want to log something before application restarts, before application starts, and you want to log something after application execution completes, right? After request, before request arriving to application, and after request processing also, you want to log some statements, right? In that kind of requirement, this HTTP logging policy fits. So let me show you. I just created a one simple API in my design center. Let me go back. Yeah, it's very simple student API. So for sake of simplicity, I just configured one simple source resource. The resource is student resource, and it has a get method over it, and return some students response. Okay, the main motto is to demonstrate about this TP logging policy. So I'm not designed the this API as per standards, right? So based on this API, I'm trying to I'm creating a project in Anypoint Studio, new project, student API IMPL, finish. So a project got created based on the my API, and you can see a get flow got created, right? And if you open this, it returns the student objects. So I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do any kind of transformation. Just I want to apply a policy on that, right? So this API got created, and if you observe this API in API manager, I already registered this API to API manager, and you can see this API manager are already registered, and there is some instance, auto discover instance got created by this API. I want to configure auto discovery to my project. Global elements, create API auto discovery. So for API auto discovery, we will discuss in separate session, right? And now I want to deploy this application, right? So console, run the application. If you run the application, the policy got downloaded and applied to the runtime, right? So let me pause for a moment until it is deployed. Yeah, deployment is done. But if you see there is no such policy got downloaded, means we didn't apply any, we didn't configure any kind of policy on this API. So let me go quickly go to that API and let me configure a policy, API logging policy. So go to my API and check policies and add policy, select message logging policy, next. And here you want to configure what message you want to log and what condition, under what condition you want to log. All these things you need to configure over here. So I want to log a message for the get call, right? So I want to log this message logging before get students API call. At what before API call means before sending the request, before executing the request, I want to log this statement. And as of now, I don't configure any condition. And I want to add one more log statement after API call, after request completes. So for that, I'm adding one more thing, and this configuration name I want to give as after, and message I want to configure this as message. Just the message, we need to configure the data view expression over here. The data view expression is like this: after get students API call, I want to print the payload, what payload the API returns, that as an after call, right? And this one I want to put after call. And here I want to configure under which methods you want to log this, all the methods or any specific methods. So I want to log for a specific methods. This is get. I don't want to post get, and under the get, and what URI. So get URI students, path is students, apply. So the policy was created successfully. Once a policy created successfully, you can see the policy get downloaded in a moment over here. So if you see, the policy got downloaded to the runtime, and you can see applied message, applied policy message logging, right? So if you see in the get flow, there is no logger configured before and after, right? Only transform message. This is the guy is sending output to the client. But as I applied a policy before the request execution and after the request execution, if I execute the API, just I'm not sending any query parameter. The API call is like this. If I execute this one, if you see the log console, you can see that logging before students API call. This is the statement I configured before call, and after request processing, I configure one more statement. After get students API call, the payload is I am blocking the payload. Right, in this way, even though I didn't configure any logger component inside my application, I can log the statements before and after the request execution using the HTTP logging policy, right? So thank you so much, and we see the next concept in the next session. Thank you.